Today's recipes come from this cookbook, the Oregon Trail Cookbook. So I myself am a little fascinated by the Oregon Trail and the pioneers that came down it. I actually live in Oregon, close to the end of the trail. So yes, I found this cookbook and I was super excited. This cookbook comes from 1993. It was actually to celebrate the 150 years since the Oregon Trail. The cookbook is pretty great, full of amazing drawings and stories and lots of good recipes. Well, I'll be making 3 of them today. We're going to start with a recipe in here for rhubarb bread. I just love rhubarb. Every year I like to cut back my rhubarb, chop it up and turn it into compote and stick it in the freezer to last all year. Well, I get to use it today. Start with a large bowl. 1 egg goes in. 1.5 cups of brown sugar. Beat it. A cup of buttermilk or sour milk. I just took my 1 cup of milk and added a tablespoon of lemon juice and let it sit for 10 minutes. So it is curdled a tiny bit, perfect for this recipe. 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, teaspoon of vanilla, and then stir it all together. In another bowl, I need 2.5 cups of flour. Teaspoon of baking soda, little salt, and mix that together. Gradually stir it into the wet mix. I'm going to fold in about 1.5 cups of rhubarb. And then you just pour it into your loaf pan. This is actually enough to make 2 loaves of bread. Then I'm going to cook it at 350 for about 40 minutes. Rhubarb bread looks tasty. Very rhubarby, and that's what I like. It has a nice, very subtle sweetness. It's mainly the rhubarb that shines. Just love that. I am imagining being on the trail, sitting around the campfire, eating Mama's wonderful rhubarb bread. Granddad's telling stories about that one time when a muskrat crawled up his trouser leg. And you know what? We're having a lot of fun. I just loved the Oregon Trail video game. I loved playing it when I was younger, and you had to try to figure out how much provisions to bring on your journey along the trail. Well, according to this book, and according to a Missouri Gazette, March 19th, 1847, this is what you're supposed to bring. You need yourself a good sturdy wagon. You need to have 4 oxen, 2 good milk cows for milking, as well as 200 pounds of bread stuff, that's flour and crackers, 100 pounds of bacon, 12 pounds of coffee, 12 pounds of sugar, 5 pounds of tea, 50 pounds of rice, 2 bushels of beans, 2 bushels of dried fruit, 5 pounds of saleratus, whatever that is, 50 pounds of soap, as well as some cheese, dried pumpkins, onions, cornmeal, etc. Don't bring in any furniture. That's too much stuff. But make sure you bring enough clothes to last a whole year. The dish I'm going to make now is called a Ruby Royal. It sounds very good. You're going to cook it in a skillet. On medium-low, add a couple tablespoons of butter. We have a small chopped onion, goes in next. 2 cups of canned tomatoes. A teaspoon of salt, and a little shake of cayenne. Combine it together and simmer it over medium-low for 15 minutes. Okay, it's nice and cooked. Now I've cracked 6 eggs, and I'm going to basically pour them into the sauce one at a time. It's kind of like a shakshuka. I just love shakshuka. I'm just gonna allow them to poach in that sauce until firm. Time to toast some bread. I've got some buttered toast here, and now you just place that right on top of your toast. Pretty exciting. Ruby Royal, it looks good. It tastes great, very comforting. Fun combination of flavors. I kinda like this Oregon Trail cuisine. And the final recipe I'm making in this cookbook is for Grandma Parker's fruit soup. Now this was the most questionable recipe in the book, which means this is the one I had to try. There is a little story about this recipe. It says that Grandma Parker was the daughter of one wife of a polygamous marriage. She came to Utah as a child, traveling with her sister and her parents across the country from Minnesota. They didn't even have a covered wagon. They walked, pulling their meager possessions in a hand cart. This special soup was used to help someone recovering from a flu or a cold. It could be served either hot as a soup or cold as a dessert. Grab your pot, it's soup time. We need about 10 prunes and 10 apricots and a handful of raisins. Cover those with water. Add a cinnamon stick, some cardamom, 2 slices of lemon, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of quick cooking tapioca. Cover that, then we're gonna simmer it on low heat, stirring it occasionally for about 20 minutes. Now you add a chopped apple and allow it to cook for yet an additional 10 minutes. Next, it says to remove the cinnamon stick and puree it. I'm guessing during pioneer times they would do that by mashing it through a sieve, but I'm gonna puree it in my food processor. Well, would you look at that? Grandma Parker's fruit soup. Well, the texture is something I've never had before with that tapioca in there. Very strange. And the cardamom is probably the strongest thing I'm tasting. I can see how this will help your cold, that's for sure. But would it be an enjoyable dessert? Probably not. But it is a wonderful thing to help with the sickness. I'm so happy you were able to dive in with me on this Oregon Trail Cookbook. If you like this video, click like. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and ring that bell. I'll see you next time. How do zombies migrate west? They follow the Oregon Trail.